Hello everybody, my name is Abby and this video is called New to Australia. So I wanted to come out and make this video because as a migrant myself, there were so many pros and cons or left or right when I first moved to Australia. This was in 2007 and now we're sitting in 2019. So I thought if I could make a video and maybe point out a couple of things that would make all these newcomers journey just a little bit easier, I would be really happy with that. So there are heaps of issues or heaps of things that you got to be looking out for when you move to a new country. But perhaps some people don't get a choice, or they live in their war-torn country, or they just want to migrate to a better country. So these are the things that I personally came across that were quite tricky in a way, and it took me a very long time to analyze all that and make my own perception or make my own mind and make this video. So here it goes. So one of the major issues that come with moving a new country is job, and I'm sure that there are smart and good educated people that already come and have a job at the first day. Unfortunately, I wasn't in that boat. I was only 18-year-old. I came from New Delhi, India. I didn't know shit. And when I say that, I literally don't. I come from a place, it was bizarre. Anyway, that's for some other video topic. So the things that you come across which is most challenging for a new migrant is finding a job. And this is what is our main topic for today's video. I'm gonna go through few aspects of job, where you should be looking, who you should be trusting, what sort of hours you expected to work, what sort of wages you expected to earn, and where can you get that job. Because when you first come, getting the first job is really, really important, and it's really tricky, and sometimes it can be really terribly hard. So first tip that I want to give out is that go out and look for companies that provide you paperwork. Because in Australia, if it's not written up and signed, it does not exist. So there are a lot of people fall for scams that they go out and work for a cleaning company, or perhaps a gardening company, or perhaps some Indian restaurant, or some heaps of places that give you no paperwork. They call you all the time and they bully you, they abuse you, they pay you less. And you know what? If you could save yourself from all that drama and get a few tips from this video, I'd really be really happy actually. So what the things that you need to look out for, first thing that I would suggest that you look for brands, big brands such as Woolworths or Coles, or perhaps if you're into IT, maybe Dell, or whatever job that you get. It's a setup company and there are a lot of people. It's a big employer. It's not some fish and chip shop that has no rules, regulation, or perhaps anything like that. So Australian government has set up a website which you can find that out on Google, and every job that you do in Australia has a minimum wages. So you can check on that website as into what you should be minimum should be paid, and wages go into your account weekly or fortnightly. I've very hardly heard anyone getting monthly payments here. I'm sure it might exist in some jobs, but it's not as common as into getting paid weekly or fortnightly. So when you're starting out a new job, I just want to give you this tip that make sure you sign the paperwork. They meant to give you a paperwork which describes whether it's to what sort of contract you're getting. Is it a casual job? Is it a permanent part-time job, or is it a full-time job? it should say on that contract how many hours you should be working, what sort of pay you should be expecting. Would you be getting any holidays? Would you be getting any sick days? So these sort of information is always on your contract. And an employer doesn't give you that, you should take that as a big red flag. And that's not done. If someone's doing that to you, please do me a favor, stay away from that employer. Understand? So now that you've started your job, say everything went all right and you signed the contract, you know how many hours you'll be doing and where you'll be working, what is expected of you. And then say you start a new job, and now you're a new person to Australia. And now when you go into a workplace and you just moved to countries or you just moved to Australia, there are certain things that expose or tell that you are a new person, because it's never ever easy being a new kid on the block. So what you can do to avoid that and you know, maybe get a little bit easier and not people harass you or not people bug you or bully you or stuff like that, I think what personally worked for me was to learn that bit of accent. So and the only way that you can learn the Australian accent is to be amongst Australians. So when it doesn't matter what country you come from, Pakistan, America, China, Kuwait, you could be from any part of the world. But when you move to Australia, there is a certain dialect and certain accent that people speak in. And when you speak in that accent, people feel at ease. They think that you're one of their own and they can't leave you alone. So funny things, that little thing that I want to add to this video was that when I first moved here, my first job was dishwasher. I was washing dishes. If a lot of people out there probably don't even know dishwashing, because I didn't know, to be honest, I didn't know what dishwashing was. So dishwashing is when you go to a restaurant, you're washing plates and bowls for up to 100 to 200 people that have just eaten 3-course meals in a restaurant, and you are the only man or perhaps a woman washing all those dishes. That's called a dishwashing job, and it's a very minimum pay, really terrible work environment that you're exposed to, and especially if you work without any papers, which I did. I worked without any contract or any of that, and you know, to be very honest, I didn't really have much greater time or really happy time at that workplace. So these are the informations that you can follow and do your research. Maybe you could start applying for jobs maybe a month in advance prior to your moving date that you move into Australia, because sometimes it takes time for employer to go through those resumes and you know, to give you a call. And the secret of it all is it's not about what you know, it's about who you know. So if you have a friend that works in a big hospital or in a big transport company or a courier company or a meat factory, if you know that friend or you know somebody can get you in there or give you a reference, that's generally a much easier way of getting a job. Because if you're a good employee and you refer someone, employer are more than likely to look at that resume and say, you know, if it's coming from him, it might be worth it. So they might get you in for an interview, and you know, that way it'll make your life a little bit easier. So the take back points from my video is paperwork when it comes to a job. And once you've started the job, learn about the Australian culture, be amongst Australians so you can pick on the accent and you can mimic it. Because when you speak the language, the local language, people feel at ease and people think that you're on their own, which would be true in a few years' time, because many people come to Australia, they end up living here forever. So this is my video for today, guys. If you like this video and if you think that I've given you a couple of good points, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, like my channel. Love you all. Easy. Bye bye.